Begin transmission. This is a message from the anonymous charity also known as The Collective. Today's date is December 12, 2018. It comes as no surprise that multiple mainstream media and US government agencies are now starting to warn the public of a possible, it's imminent, nationwide power outage due to grid failure. In our video posted prior to this one, we gave you more specific detail regarding this event. We want to take you back to 6 weeks ago. We informed you of a month-long drill that was conducted on Plum Island in New York, where a group of US grid operators under the guidance of the Pentagon were running simulations to prepare for a massive nationwide grid power outage. Does it not surprise us now that we are getting multiple warnings of an EMP-style attack on the US grid? Nothing is a coincidence. Back on Plum Island, this is what happened. This was the scenario they worked with for a month, in isolation on the island. The team of grid operators had spent days restoring power when a digital strike took out one of 2 operational utility stations. The other utility was also under attack. A month had passed since all power in the region was taken down by a devastating cyber attack. It had been a grueling 6 days restoring power across 2 electrical utilities and to the building deemed a critical national asset by the Secretary of Energy. The cyber strike hadn't forced the team back to zero, but it wasn't far from it. Just moments ago, the 2 electric utilities had been working in concert, delivering reliable and redundant power to the critical asset. Now one utility was down for the count and the other was under attack. The grid operator's only chance to restore power to the asset would be to route it, substation by substation, from the utility that was still operating. The team of cybersecurity researchers assisting the grid operators would have to use every piece of technology and know-how they had to ensure that utility stayed powered up, trustworthy and malware-free. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency exercise, which took place from November 1 to November 7, 2018 was fictional, but it was designed to mimic all the hurdles and uncertainty of a real-world cyber attack that took out power across the nation for weeks on end, a scenario known as a black start. To add realism, the exercise took place on Plum Island, a federal research facility off the North Fork of Long Island, where DARPA researchers were able to segregate a portion of the island on its own electric grid. Over the course of the 7-day exercise, more than 100 people gathered on the island, filling every necessary role to mimic an actual black start. At the center of the exercise was a team of grid operators from electric utilities across the nation, which was in charge of restoring and sustaining power. At its most basic level, their job involved creating initial power transmissions at both utilities using a diesel generator, then building cyber-secure crank paths through a series of electric substations that would increase the transmission's voltage until they were capable of powering the 2 utilities and delivering redundant power to the exercise's critical asset. Meanwhile, another team of DARPA-funded cyber researchers from 7 different industry groups used custom-built technology to keep the grid operators' efforts protected from cyber adversaries. A third DARPA-funded team took the role of the cyber adversaries, throwing a wrench into the good guys' efforts every time they seemed to be getting ahead. We have a bunch of things that try to make this as painful as possible for everyone, project leader Walter Weiss told reporters on a rainy Tuesday, the 6th day of the exercise. How do you actually keep the smartest people in the world busy for a week? That takes effort. The Plum Island exercise is the 4th Black Start exercise led by DARPA's Rapid Attack Detection, Isolation, and Characterization Systems, or RADIX, program, which Weiss leads. The first 2 exercises were conducted in research labs. The third one took place on Plum Island but on a smaller scale and without public observers. DARPA plans to continue the exercises every 6 months until the RADIX program expires in 2020, Weiss said. After that, hopefully, the project will continue under the Energy Department or another federal agency, he said. The Radix exercise doubled as the second phase of an Energy Department exercise called Liberty Eclipse. The first phase of that exercise, which took place in October, was a tabletop exercise during which government and industry officials game planned policy options after a massive cyber attack against the grid. That exercise ended with the fictional president declaring a grid emergency and the energy secretary using a power first formalized earlier this year to issue emergency orders to get the grid back up and running. One of those orders, to get redundant power to the critical asset on Plum Island, marked the beginning of the on-island exercise this month. While Vice and project organizers pushed for realism in the exercise, they kept some details vague. The utilities were dubbed simply Utility A and Utility B. The scenario doesn't name the US adversary that launched the grid-crippling cyber attack. Nor does it identify the critical asset that grid operators must keep running. In a real-world attack, that critical asset might be a hospital, a military base or any other building that's critical for the nation's functioning during an emergency. In the exercise, the asset was an aged brick building outfitted, on an upper level, with 5 multicolored air dancers, the colorful, fan-powered, head-banging nylon tubes that often adorn car dealerships and cell phone stores. Vice described the air dancers as high-visibility power indicators. When the asset was receiving power, the dancers would do their thing and the grid operators, observing from a distance, could breathe easy. If the dancers started slouching, they knew something was wrong. Now, back to us, the collective. Did you notice how they keep using the term cyber attack? They, as well as mainstream media, have almost completely stopped talking of solar flares and a Rouge asteroid as the cause of the blackout. The reason is this: the plan is already in motion. The cause is already known. A cyber attack from either China or Russia. They will be to blame. But the source will be from within. Please watch the previous video for more information. As we receive more information from our sources, we'll share them with you. We, the collective, suggest that you activate the bell for notifications while you can. Who knows exactly how much time we have left online? This has been a message from the anonymous charity also known as the collective. Today's dated December 12, 2018. End of transmission.